What is up? Coach Emma here, and welcome back to the Fit Habit Life podcast, where we cut through the noise, talk real health and fitness, sustainable fat loss, and habits that actually work. So, welcome. Welcome back if you've listened before. And before we dig in, today's topic is common pitfalls people make during the holidays. The next couple weeks are probably going to be primarily mindset, holidays, tips and tricks, holidays, because it is the holiday season and this is what people are struggling with right now. So if you're tired of it, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry at all. But anyway, if you've listened before, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you could share the show with someone who you think it would help, that would really help me help more people, which is the goal of the show. So thank you for being here. And let's dig in. So common pitfalls people experience during the holidays. And it might be different than you think. As a health and fitness coach, some of you might think, common pitfalls, having a piece of pie, or going to holiday parties every weekend, or having alcohol or whatever. Nope. Those are not the common pitfalls they're not pitfalls. That's part of the holidays is enjoying yourself a little bit. I'm having apple pie in a week from today. I've talked about this many times. My mother-in-law makes the best apple pie I've ever eaten. We'll probably also just have the pie leftovers, which will be great. Hopefully nobody else eats it and I get the whole thing. And I can have it for like a week straight. That would be awesome. It's probably not going to be the case, but I can always dream, So anyway, no, I'm not, I never tell my clients they can't eat anything. That's silly. And oftentimes that's one of the first pitfalls that people fall for. I don't know. People experience common pitfalls. Yeah. Pitfalls people fall for. And it's telling themselves they cannot eat anything, trying to restrict entire food groups, trying to restrict themselves. That's just going to lead, still stumbling on my words. That's going to lead to, one, an unhealthy relationship with food, but two, probably a binge and restrict sort of cycle. And I know this because I used to do this, and I've seen it with many clients. And now, it's funny, a lot of my clients are like, really, you don't care that I had a piece of cake? I'm like, no, that's awesome. Was it any good? And they'll be like, yeah, it was good. I'm like, cool. Did you enjoy it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, sweet. Cool. Then let's just keep doing what we're doing and not worry about it. Right? So fitness is meant to better your life. Fitness should not be something that takes away. It's supposed to better your life. So if you're doing things for your quote unquote fitness that are taking away from the quality of your life, then that's not really healthy. Yeah, sure, if you eat pie every once in a while, well, that's not even true. I was going to say you probably won't be super shredded, lean, whatever. You can be lean and eat pie. I'd say I'm fairly lean. I'm fit, I'm healthy, and I eat pie. And the people who are the physiques that are promoted on social media as ideal and whatever, those people are not healthy. They are not healthy. Their lives are terrible. It revolves around what they eat, fitting in their workout. Their life revolves around their fitness. That's not healthy. That's an idol for them. They're idolizing fitness. They're revolving their life. Their center of their life is fitness. That is what they worship. They worship their bodies. They worship fitness. That's not healthy. Those people tend to have terrible social lives, terrible relationships, because they sacrifice those relationships for their bodies, for their look, for their physique. And there is something to be said, it is hard to be a bodybuilder. It is challenging. It is honestly, I commend people who go through that experience. But to live like that year-round is unhealthy. And bodybuilding is a sport. That is not healthy anyway. Those people on stage, I will say I've gone to a bodybuilding show. I went this year for the first time because my friend was in one. While the men were kind of cool to look at, like to see the muscle shapes and stuff, they didn't really look healthy. Most of them looked really sick. And the women looked ill. Like they did not, none of them looked good. They all looked super unhealthy. Was it super impressive the amount of leanness they got down to? Yeah, it was crazy impressive. I would never want to do that. I like food too much. But it's not healthy. So the stuff that's often promoted as healthy online are not. Those like shredded physiques, whatever. And I guarantee those people have a more disordered relationship with food than you do. So don't try to be like them. Don't try to look like them. Their quality of life is probably pretty terrible. And they worship their bodies. They worship fitness. So all the other aspects of their life suck. So, point being, number one pitfall, people over-restrict or set rules and regulations on what they can and can't eat. I think it is good to have boundaries, to set boundaries for yourself, but I don't think you need to omit entire food groups or restrict what you eat. Because, as I said, that leads to well, I'm only going to have this today, so I might as well eat the whole pie sort of mindset. And I've been there. That's why I'm saying this. This is from a place of personal experience. If you have a piece of pie, you're not going to get fat. It takes 3,500 calories of surplus to put on a pound of body fat. That would literally be an entire pie. So, basically, don't worry about it. It's one meal. The next pitfall that people fall into is letting that one meal turn into a whole week of overindulgences. And so I would say this tends to be the most common pitfall. It's Thanksgiving. Like I said, there's 4 holidays over the next couple weeks, right? You got Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, people usually sleep in because they're super tired, and so they skip a meal, usually because they end up waking up way later, and so it's hard to fit in 3 meals that day. But anyway, so basically there's like 4 holidays over the next couple weeks. So those 4 days, again, to put on 1 pound of body fat, you need 3,500 extra calories. That's really hard to do in one day. Could you do that in 4 days? Probably. But then again, that's just 1 pound over 8 weeks. That's not that bad. And if you're strength training, it's probably going to be mostly allocated, hopefully, to muscle tissue if you're eating enough protein in there. The problem is most people let that one day turn into a whole week. So, how to avoid it? If you set like structure into your day, into your meals, into the types of food that you eat on a regular basis, you can include some of those leftovers. You shouldn't feel like you need to overindulge. But maybe there are some foods that you struggle to control yourself around, and that's normal. That's fine. I talk about apple pie. I have to actually cut it into pieces and put it away as pieces, or I'll overcut the piece. And just say it's 1 slice of pie when really it's like a half a pie. So some people struggle with certain foods. And so a couple things you can do to mitigate that potential excessive overindulgence for weeks on end is to maybe you don't take home those leftovers that you tend to struggle with. Another thing is like for me with the apple pie. Instead, I usually have rice or potato with dinner. I will opt out of my rice and potatoes, and I'll probably have a bit of a leaner cut of meat with it, like chicken breast, because apple pie has fat in it. Kick down the apples with butter. It's got butter in the crust, and it's carbs. There's like no protein. So I'll do a lean protein source with a piece of pie, and that'll probably be my dinner. And I'm getting all the macros. Is it as nutrient dense as having potatoes? No. But it's not often that I eat this. You can also portion out those foods if you really like them and freeze them into small portion sizes that you already set aside and portioned out. So when you thaw one of those portion sizes, that's all you can eat. You can't overdo it. You can't go and get seconds and thirds and fourths, right? So that's another tip or trick. But I guess first one is keep it out of the house. So don't take home the leftovers. Second one is just adjust your meals so that you can enjoy that on a more regular basis. Third is pre-portion. And like this can be where it is a time where it's like, well, maybe I just for Christmas I have it. And that's if it's a food that you really struggle with, then that's what I'd recommend. Maybe setting some sort of bounds and regulation around that food. Not saying you can't have it, but setting barriers or rules, that tends to be super helpful. And so like, even if you don't follow that barrier or rule, you will probably eat less of it than had you not set a barrier or rule in the first place. And that leads me to my next thing, alcohol. I live in Utah, and actually a lot of my clients don't drink alcohol, which makes coaching really easy. Or easier. A lot of them drink soda, which is another problem. But you have diet soda. There's no diet alcohol, and most people don't like alcohol for the flavor. I'm not saying I don't drink alcohol. I do. Very rarely. I just don't feel very good afterwards. But I do like a really good Belgium ale, Belgium triple. There's actually some good Belgium triples from Utah, which is shocking. Because we have, on draft, you cannot have a beer over 5%. So they're unfortunately all canned or bottled, but they're pretty damn good. But anyway, I don't drink very often, like maybe once a month. There was like a 7 or 8 month period where I didn't have a drink. I was going through a gut protocol, so that was kind of the main reason as to why. But yeah, anyway. So alcohol on the holidays, that tends to be the biggest problem I've noticed, because alcohol is empty calories, so you don't get any fullness feeling. You don't feel full like when you have it, unless you're having beer. Most people don't like beer that much. Beer is very filling. But like a cocktail, a sugary cocktail, wine, it's just liquid, so you don't get full from it. And people tend to really overdo it over the holidays, right? You got gatherings, you've got parties, you got the holidays itself. Maybe you're going home, seeing your friends from college or from high school, because you're going back to your hometown, visiting family. Maybe you're using alcohol to help cope, which that's another problem for another time we'll discuss. But the alcohol calories add up real quickly. And so that's really probably one of the biggest reasons people gain a lot of weight during this time. Not necessarily the food. Like I said, it's hard to eat an entire pie. Basically, you need to eat an entire pie for 5 days to gain 5 pounds in a week. That's a lot. But some cocktails are like 300 to 400 calories. So you have 5 of those in a day for 3 days straight. It's 1.5 pounds. And alcohol is very inflammatory. So you'll just feel pretty crappy. And then you'll feel puffier and bloated anyway, because your body's going to retain more water after those excessive drinking bouts. So, yeah. So, with alcohol, best tip, set boundaries. Set boundaries for yourself around drinking. And again, just like the food boundaries, maybe you say, oh, I can only have 2 servings of this for the week. Maybe you can only have 2 drinks tonight. You might have 3 drinks, maybe you'll have 4, but you probably won't have 5 because you set a rule. And we might not follow them very strictly, but we'll probably do a lot less than had we not set a rule in the first place. Another good tip is alternating beverage, alcoholic beverage, and water or sparkling water. If you have friends that pressure you to drink alcohol, 1, they're assholes and probably should find new friends. But 2, you can do club soda with lime. That's what I do if I'm in a situation I don't want to drink and I want it to kind of look like I have some type of alcoholic beverage and I don't want people to bother me. Because I don't mind saying I'm good. No thanks. But it can get annoying when people keep asking you. So I like to do club soda with lime because it's bubbly. So people think it might be a gin and tonic. The lime makes it look kind of fancy to where gin and tonic or vodka soda with lime, people might think you're having some alcohol. But you can just act a little bit funnier, or honestly, if they're drinking, they won't even notice. So that's my tip on the alcohol front. Or maybe it's like me, I really like the alcohol I like is very high in calories. Unfortunately. So it's just very rare. It's a special occasion for me. The last time I drank was over a month ago. It was our wedding anniversary, 2-year. Oh no, it wasn't, because we weren't able to go out. We have a lot of anniversaries because engagement, dating, and wedding, and we like to celebrate them because why not? It's just fun to have an excuse to go on a date or something. Anyway, so I think it was our dating anniversary. But anyway, we had 1 beer and we split it. And it was like 200 calories for the half of the beer. It was like a 12% Belgian triple beer. But anyway, so I'll probably have one Christmas. Probably Christmas. Maybe New Year's Eve, depends. And probably Thanksgiving. But probably not any other time, just because I feel so bad. I might not even have one on these holidays. Especially if I have to drive somewhere or be somewhere. This is the first year we're here for Thanksgiving and Christmas, so I'm kind of excited about that. We're not traveling. But yeah, that tends to be what I do. And I know what I don't like, and I don't like to consume foods or beverages that I don't enjoy that have calories, because I'd rather allocate those calories to foods I prefer. For example, apple pie. Apple pie or meat or yeah, I just prefer doing that. So, yeah. So that's my tip for alcohol is drink if you want to, but set some boundaries around it. If you do like to drink alcohol, you like to get a little bit of a buzz, maybe opt for lower calorie beverages like vodka soda, vodka gin, or vodka gin. That would be terrible. That'd be disgusting. Maybe gin and soda. Tonic tends to have calories, so gin and tonic is kind of common. Tequila soda. Tequila's gross. Seltzer, spiked seltzers or whatever. Forgot what they're called. But anyway, opting for those, at least, right? One of those canned things is 100 calories. One of the beers that I like is 300 to 400. So I could have 3 of those seltzer things instead of 1 beer. If you like to have multiple beverages, maybe opting for something like that would be smarter. So anyway, those are my tips. And go into your calendar and pick depending on how much you drink. Now, hopefully you don't drink every day. That's just not healthy. But if you drink once or twice a week, maybe you pick one night a week that you're going to have something. If it's a holiday party or a get together or the holiday itself, mark it on your calendar. Make sure there aren't more than 5 or a month, ideally less than 4 a month, and set a beverage limit for yourself. And that's going to really help mitigate that potential weight gain that tends to occur because people go way overboard. And I get it. Holidays are stressful. Maybe you're seeing a bunch of people you haven't seen in a while. You guys are celebrating. There's a lot of stuff that goes down. So hopefully that's helpful. And then the last pitfall that most people do is they try to make up for the calories that they consumed. That, again, leads to a really unhealthy relationship with food and exercise. And I used to do this. This is speaking like really from personal experience. Like on Thanksgiving, I'd go on a crazy long ass run. I'd make sure I burned X amount of calories. I would skip a couple meals to prepare myself for Thanksgiving. Same with Christmas. Same with New Year's. It's unhealthy. And really, that relationship makes it worse. The trying to make up for the calories burned. Because then again, it's like the whole, you can't eat this thing. So when you have it available, you go crazy with it. And exercise shouldn't be punishment. It should be a way to celebrate your body, a way to support your body, a way to support your health. So please don't do that. A tip though, if you lift weights, which you all should if you listen to this podcast, on the days that are going to be the gatherings or the parties or whatever, if you strength train that day, a lot of those excessive calories that you might consume will go towards muscle building. So don't use it as like a punishment for yourself or anything, but hey, maybe you move a workout to Thanksgiving Day. Yeah, try to get really strong, and then you'll probably be kind of hungry anyway because you're lifting weights and getting strong. And then that extra calorie will be partitioned for muscle tissue. So that's a little tip and trick there. But anyway, so don't fall for these common pitfalls. If you tend to do these things, that's okay. I've been there. I've done all of these things and more. When I guess back to the alcohol thing, when I first started drinking, I put on a lot of weight really quickly. Like I looked like a different person. So if you go on my social media, there's a couple comparison photos of me to then and to me now. And it's like, whoa, what happened? Yeah, very inflamed, put on a lot of weight really quickly. So basically all these things I've done. So I'm not coming from a place of judgment. Hopefully me explaining these things to you helps you recognize like maybe some patterns that you have that you can start to take actionable change on. And hopefully if you're not doing these things and you're thinking about doing these things, hopefully these personal anecdotes or explanations as to why you shouldn't do these things will deter you from doing these things and help you avoid the mistakes that I've made on my journey. So, and if you want, like, if you're like, yo, the holidays are super stressful, I need some extra support, I need some extra guidance, that's why I created the Maintain, Don't Gain, Thrive Through the Holidays challenge. Again, it's not about weight loss. It's not about burning calories. It's not about the scale. It's just about supporting yourself, maintaining consistency in training and nutrition during this hectic season, and just having a group of accountability and support to help walk you through that. And I will be leading all of those calls. There will be a call a week where you can ask any questions you have. You will have access to workout plans that are adjustable to fit your hectic holiday schedule that can be done while traveling, on the go, at home, at a gym. And just like support from someone, me, who's been there, and a bunch of other people who are just trying to take care of themselves during this crazy season. So if you're interested in that, it's $97 per person for 8 weeks, or $147 for a pair for the 8 weeks. And so bring a friend. It'll be more fun. You guys can do the workouts together. You can hold each other accountable. And that starts tonight. So The kickoff call is tonight. The first official call is on Monday, but I figured having a kickoff call would help me answer anybody's questions, help us get set up on the right foot for this challenge. And even if you don't make it, there are replays of all these calls, and you have a group chat with me in it to help answer any of your questions, provide support, guidance, and that accountability that you need. So, anyway, if you want more info, there's a link below. Maintain, don't gain, thrive through the holidays. Hopefully you get to see it in there. And if this podcast was helpful for you and you learned a lot from it, if you could comment or share it or rate the show or subscribe, that would just helps me get in front of more people. So I'd really appreciate it. So yeah. So hopefully see you in Maintain, Don't Gain tonight at 6 p.m. Mountain Time. But if not, that's okay. And hopefully you continue to gain value from my podcast. So I'll catch you on the next one. See ya.